We're, of course, watching Euro 2024 unfolding in Germany. And with each one of these major tournaments, we're paying more and more attention to the technology that surrounds it. VAR is no longer something new. Let's say hello to Peter O'Brien.
Hi, Francois.
Peter, there are more evolutions, though, in the game. I see you brought a ball.
I brought a ball because, as you know, there have already been 13 goals from outside the penalty box this Euros. That's the highest percentage ever of goals scored outside the penalty box. And some are saying it's because of this. This is the Fussballliebe. Doesn't really trip off the tongue as well as Jabulani, maybe. But it's the ball that's being used at Euro 2024, and some are saying that this is the reason we're getting so many long-range strikes that are flying into the net. Now, it's impossible to say whether it's actually what constitutes this ball as to what is causing these goals, and we might see those goals calm down a little bit after we get into the later stages of the tournament. What I can tell you, though, is that Adidas have put a lot of organic materials into this ball, and they've also put a sensor inside, a high-tech sensor that relays data 500 times a second to match officials based on its position. Some are thinking, well, if you've got something inside that weighs 14 grams or so, and it's sort of attached to the sides of the balls, is this not going to change how it flies through the air? I don't think we'll ever really know. I mean, even the Jabulani remains a bit of a mystery to this day.
Yeah, it's an old chestnut arguing over whether the weight of the ball affects the number of goals scored in a major footballing tournament.
Yeah.
But these sensors really are something new. What do they do?
Yeah, so this is part of Adidas connected ball technology. This was actually first introduced at the Qatar World Cup in 2022. It's what allows such precise handball calls, like the one we saw, which ruled out Lukaku's second, it was his second disallowed goal against Slovakia on Monday. So if you remember, we've had basically the football grazing Openda's hand like this, and we saw on screen come up for all our viewers at home a kind of wave, not really a waveform, but like a heartbeat sensor. So this got everyone confused because this is not something we've seen. Even though the ball itself has been in use for those FIFA tournaments since Qatar 2022, we haven't seen so much transparency from FIFA to show what's actually happening. So we learnt actually that this sensor, which is inside the ball, strung together, is sending all that data to an artificial intelligence, which also uses data from elsewhere on the pitch and shows us that when it hit Openda's hand, it was moving, it changed direction, and you could see this come up on screen. So that was a convoluted way, some thought, but actually match officials would argue a quicker and more effective way to rule on that decision.
All right, so that's that's a new way to monitor. Of course, we've had for decades now cams on individual players during tournaments.
Yeah.
But their movements are being watched much, much more closely than before.
International footballers have always been some of the most surveilled individuals in the world. No more so than today. I mean, you've got 20 cameras now which sit under the roof of the stadium, which are monitoring 29 points on every player's body. So that's an enormous, 10 cameras rather, in each stadium. That's an enormous amount of data being collected in real time on all of these players' individual positions. This, as I said before, is fed into the artificial intelligence with the ball data, which is then used to recommend very quickly if a player is onside or not, if a player has handballed or not. So, as you say, it's similar to the sort of VAR technology and goal line technology that we've seen for around a decade, but with a lot more moving parts. And obviously the public and pundits are pretty quick to criticize these infinitesimally small decisions that are made. But you've got to say that when it's basically the alternative is you have humans who are running football matches and refereeing football matches, sports matches, or you have robots helping them. And I think we're well deep into the stage of actually.
And I suspect that it'll now be a question of whether all this stuff is made to scale, because will you be using it for third division matches or not?
Yeah, I mean, it's a question of money, right? So probably not for any time soon. But what we do know is that the top flight European tournaments will not be using this Adidas technology, because Adidas doesn't have contract contracts with any of the European top flights, but we'll see, other competitor companies try and come up with their own solution, which is similar to Adidas and its tech partner Kinexon have come up for these FIFA tournaments. In terms of whether we'll see this technology reach even further than football, you could argue it's already the case. Kinexon, which has designed the tech for this, is already used in aerospace and defense logistics on the factory floor. But yeah, I mean, I think you've got to look at the sort of football pitch as a sandbox now for monitoring and surveillance technology. And
yeah, you say surveillance, right, Peter? So here's the thing. This is, we're talking about football. It's a game, and we want precision for a game. Are you suggesting that there could be nefarious intentions?
I'm not suggesting that whatsoever. I'm just saying if you're a company which is deploying monitoring surveillance technology elsewhere, it's maybe a very good place to practice on because you've got a set number of rules, you've got a set number of players moving around in a fixed arena. So I think we can say that it has become a kind of sandbox, or as I say, or a training ground for the latest kind of monitoring technologies, especially in something flying through the air like a football in a very unpredictable way. I mean, the fact that it's able to relay all that data at 500 times a second does show how far this kind of technology has come.